Ain't the beer cold? You have to excuse me, all the Washington, all the National fans out there, but I've been a long-time Oriole fan, and it's been a long time. A 15-year-old drought really ended last night. It ended a few nights back, but to get into the playoffs was the key. And how insane is it that the Orioles and the Nationals are Final Four teams in the tournament, which is the way you have to look at it. Nationals on the road and the Orioles at home against one member of the evil empire, the New York Yankees. Now, do you guys, again, this is Bruce Posner, welcome into Kelly and Associates Insurance Group TerpTalk. Here's a quiz. Who's the other member of the evil empire? Does anybody know?
I'm going with Nike.
I put Kentucky there.
Kentucky gets the answer, all right? Nike's a close second because that's the combo that took us down over the Harrison twins. And the other day on my Baltimore show, I had enough. You know, I was, like every Maryland fan, I was mentally and physically sick over that decision. And there is no sugarcoating. Please don't tell me it happened for the best and we'll be better for it. That's something we can find out after the fact. But
you were just hoping that Kentucky had no more room under their salary cap for both twins?
Well, they always find room, all right? The suitcases come in and they always find room. Two things bother me about it all right? More than two things, about 100 things. Number one, there's no, first of all, the kids did nothing wrong. That's their right. And I'm sure it seems like Turgeon kept, and I don't know any of this to be the fact, kept on saying, wait a minute, don't make it, don't do it yet. Let me talk to you one more time, or let me fly down there. The man did everything possible, but it's just really sad this one and done rule has really thrown Kentucky into this position where that's where people want to go. I mean, for the one and done guys, it's like Kentucky or nowhere, and every other team in the country is suffering from it. The other one and done guys have to prove it. Kentucky's got the guys who are leaving no matter what, but these two guys will bring them a national championship, and that's what makes me sick.
I'll take that bet there, Bruce. I mean, history shows that the tournament runs are done by teams with senior guards. Okay, you get two guards, you're going to be freshmen, they're going to be there for 1 year. I'll take that bet right now. I bet you Kentucky does not win that championship.
Wayne?
Well, even if these guys do come through for Kentucky, they're just going to be one more jersey on the rafter in Rupp Arena. If they had come to Maryland, they and their family, their father, would be Maryland heroes. They'd have statues in front of Comcast. So I think they really sold themselves short. If you really think you're that good, you come to Maryland, you win the championship, and you're the number one players in Maryland history.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that the two kids could have gone almost anywhere and wound up, as lottery picks in the NBA. Look, there's a little team down the street, all right, at the Verizon Center. I'm telling you that these two kids could make that team right now. And there's not a two-guard on that team, in my opinion, of the caliber of Aaron Harrison, right?
But Bruce, you're not going to be able to see whether this move pans out for Maryland. You said you don't want to hear the optimism of maybe this is the best.
Well, I do want to hear. I mean, Kevin Anderson came up to me last night at the, at the affair at the Legends event, which was phenomenal, and said, "Bruce, the best is yet to come." He said, "Don't get upset, don't worry," and I mean, he means well. That's his, that's his position, and that's, of course, I wouldn't expect anything else, but. When I had Terrapin Times Dan on the show the other day, he made a point to me. He said that when the Harrisons went up to Philadelphia and played in their tournament, it was Rashid Jordan against Andrew Harrison.
Right.
It was no contest. It was high school against elementary school. However, there's a guy out there lurking. There's a guy out there lurking, as there always is. His name is Roddy Peters. He's a local kid who who felt spurned, and from what I understand, he's not going to UCLA, but Bill Self and Kansas is on the hunt because they've lost everybody that they wanted.
I don't think he felt spurned. I think he was being smart. He knew Maryland.
That's not what I mean, though. In other words, my only thing is, if Maryland would have said, "You're it, you're our man, we don't care about what the Harrisons do," but that's not the case. Anybody who even thinks straight realizes that these two kids are off the realm. It's a different situation.
Right, Maryland has to recruit the best of the best. That's why we brought Turgeon here. That's what we all want.
Right, but if we lose it, and and we lose Roddy Peters over it, go ahead, Wayne.
Well, information has it that Roddy's going to come to Midnight Madness at Maryland.
That's speculation.
Speculation. My speculation is whoever the Turgeon gets there, it's back to our fan base. You're going to have hopefully a sellout crowd for Midnight Madness, chanting the kid's name, waving signs.
Well, it's not sellout because it's free.
Well, it's free, but you still want to pack the house.
Oh, no, the fan, Stefan Diggs will admit that one of the premier reasons he came to Maryland was what happened on, was it Midnight Madness? What was it?
It was a regular season.
Regular season game when the fans went nuts. And I think that when Roddy Peters shows up, hopefully he does, to Midnight Madness, and there's a unified student base going absolutely bonkers, and I'll tell you what, I will walk out of the press box and join that student base screaming the same way, because Roddy Peters, first of all, he probably won't be a one and done guy, right? And he's also, I've seen the film of him, and like Freddie always says, this is an AAU film. This is high school game film, where the kid is just incredible. He can drive. He can do it all. Is he Andrew Harrison? No, he's not Andrew Harrison, but nobody is.
And that's why I'm saying it may take 3 or 4 years to look back and say, hey, we'll be better off with a Roddy Peters for 3 or 4 years.
Well, first we got to land Roddy Peters.
I agree.
All right, so that's the first step.
I'm betting on Turgeon.
Okay, I'm going to bet on Turgeon too, but the only other one and done that strikes me in my memory is Steve Francis. And for almost all the games until we got in the NCAA, that looked great for us. And at the end, he might have had his eye on the NBA more than being a Terp.
Well, let's look. Let's go back and look at Steve Francis. Again, this is Bruce Posner, O'Kelly and Associates Insurance Group TerpTalk. Nothing to talk about today. We could have about 5 hours, all right? But let's look back at the Steve Francis effect. Okay, the Steve Francis came in. And for 1 year, I remember the early season game against UCLA where Maryland was at one point was up by 35.
Just remember that whole Puerto Rico tournament.
Right, it was
fantastic.
Right, you thinking that you're going to be national champions, and it never really wavered in my mind that we weren't going to be in the Final Four or anything, and then we lay an egg against Ron Artest and St. John's.
I was there at the University of Tennessee, and boy, what a letdown. Somewhere in the middle of that game, Mike Martisich missed a dunk, and St. John's scores 19 points in a row.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it's kind of one of those games I try and put out of my mind. That game was virtually over at halftime. I think we were down by 20 or something, and and all of a sudden, then Francis just lost control, and that was that. But I have to tell you, okay, that was so, but Steve Francis gave us some highlights during that year that were it was worth it. I mean,
absolutely.
We all remember the loss to St. John's because we thought we were going to the promised land. But Steve Francis's year, and that's the kind of year you're guaranteed with the Twins. I mean, that you're guaranteed that. All that being said, we'll move away from the Twins because it's history. We only talked about them for about 900 hours, but it's time to move on. Nike, Under Armour. I always, there were so many articles about Nike. I didn't believe that at all. I
don't think Nike had anything to do with their decision.
The one thing that was on Maryland's side, and I said we were going to move from it. If you looked at the dad's face during the whole process on ESPNU, this was not a happy, joyous, really, over bubbling guy when his son was making a national TV. His sons were making national TV appearances to announce where they were going. One thing I wonder about the Harrisons, okay, and as I watched them and I saw them in Baltimore, and all the guys from Terrapin Times saw them all over the country, and told me, how in the world could high school kids get that good? We're talking about maybe a notch or two below LeBron, which really isn't fair because LeBron's really like a man-child. But how did they get that good? I mean, they're playing the same kind of competition high school-wise. Basketball's better in Baltimore and Washington than it is in Texas. It's not even close. You wonder how kids could get that good. I guess playing 365 days a year helps.
Well, you start with dad, who's a basketball player, and mom, who's an athlete, and then they're dedicated to playing. You're right, year-round, AAU, around the country, the best of the best.
I had a friend ask me who saw the picture, is how old are those guys? And I said, no, they're 18-year-old. They are actual high school seniors. He goes, they look like men.
Yeah, well, so LeBron looked like coming out of high school. But, you know, again, it's time to move on. Roddy Peters, and of course, Midnight Madness will cure all the ills for me next Friday night.
Seeing Jake Lehman, Shaquille Clear.
Speaking of Steve Francis, Wayne, you don't know this. Last year, Dustin Clark and Turgeon bounced me out of my seat on the floor with Rick.
Yeah.
They said, Bruce, Steve Francis doesn't have a seat. He said, would you mind giving it up for Rick? I mean, for Stevie Francis? I did. I gave it up.
That's a good Terp.
Right.
Way to go.
Well, and I wound up sitting upstairs. I mean, the place was pretty crowded last year.
And you know, Bruce, yeah, I love sitting next to your games, but
there's difference with the franchise.
I traded up.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And I would never say no to a guy who brought me so much joy. Yeah, Midnight Madness, I assume we're all going to that one. And I'm anxious.